konnichiwa, konbawa. Hi, my name is Stephnni and I am an ALT here in Japan. And today I will be telling you about how I survived living in Japan without any Japanese. Like, I do not know how to speak Japanese. So before I start, I just want to put this as a disclaimer that if you are coming to, this is not really a tip, but it's also kind of a tip. If you are going to a country where English or your native language isn't the language that's been spoken in that country, please do not get angry at the natives or the locals for not making provisions for you in your language. Because if we're being honest, it makes no sense. You are the one coming to their home. You need to prepare yourself as much as you can. I know not everyone can be like fully proficient in Japanese. I'm using Japanese because that's the language that is spoken where I live. So if you're going to be moving to Japan or visiting Japan and you do not know how to speak any language, any Japanese, it makes no sense for you to then get angry at Japanese people for them not making provisions for you in whatever language you speak. Usually it's English. Let's be honest. It's people that speak English that get mad and be like, oh my God, this is 2022. You should be able to like make provisions for, English speakers. No, they do not have to. The fact that they do shows that they are willing to try, that they are actually putting in the effort to become more globally accepting. This is a homogeneous society. They only speak Japanese. So when you see signs are written in English, which if you are being honest, a lot of signs and stuff are written in English, so you should be fine. But just saying, there will be circumstances and situations where there will not be any English translations or stuff available. My only advice is that you do not get angry and be like, oh my God, and then feel entitled to that provision being made for you. Do not feel entitled. This is not your country. Act accordingly. Okay? Okay, now let's get into it. The first point or tip I would give would be to learn the basics. If you are moving to Japan and you are obviously not proficient in the language, it's okay. Like you already made plans and stuff, it's okay. But you should prepare yourself for certain things. So learn the basics. Hello, hi, excuse me. How can I get to so and so? How much is this? Could you please point me to the direction of so and so? Basics. Thank you. Things like that. Those phrases. Oh, help. Also important. Could you please help me? Things like that. Those are very, very much important, and you should definitely learn those. And if I'm being honest, this is something you could probably learn on the flight to Japan. So there should be no excuses. You should be fine. Okay? Okay. And number two. So for me, number two, I would say take out the time to read the signs. So I think this would be a good point or tip for people who will be, staying in big cities. I personally live in Tokyo, so majority of the time, a lot of the time, most of these signs will be translated to English, and I'm talking about signs at transport places, for lack of a better word. Let's say train stations, bus stops, stuff like that, they should have an English translation. Pay attention. So for me, I would literally just run amok when I'm in the train station. When I initially got here, I would be so tensed and nervous because it's a big city and most of these train stations, especially the big ones like Shinjuku or Tokyo Station, these places, Jesus, I call Shinjuku the first ring of hell because it can be so confusing. So my first advice, take a breather, just breathe and pay attention. Chances are there is an English translation. Oh, that rhymed. Murderer, I'm the lyrical gangster, murderer. There will be an English translation. You just have to wait. So when you see those what do they call them? Those um like electronic boxes that gives you the notification and tells you, oh, this is where um this train is coming at so and so time, blah 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 blah. I forgot what it's called. I'll probably put it up on the screen if I can figure it out. Um those things, at first glance will probably be in Japanese. Give it a minute. Relax. It will probably go by and be translated in English. And if we're being honest, most places in Tokyo, I live in Tokyo, so that's what I'll be talking about mostly. Most places in Tokyo have translations in certain set languages, and they will be Chinese, Korean, and English, I believe. A lot of the trains have those translations as well. So when you even get on the train, and you have like the boxes in the train that tells you when your next stop is going to be, those things also get translated to English. So give it time. I know you might get flustered immediately when you see everything just written in kanji on the screen and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to miss my stop. It's fine, give it a minute. Also, the announcement are also made in English. So if they give the announcement in Japanese, usually after that there'll be the exact same thing that they said in Japanese, someone will say the exact same thing in English, so it's like the translated version of it. Okay, so give yourself time, take a minute, do not be in a hurry, and just wait. There will be the translation will come. Okay, so another way I survive living in Japan without speaking any Japanese is making time allowances. So in Japan, I know you've probably heard, and if you haven't, this is me telling you, punctuality is a big deal here. So there's this thing that they say on time is late. So if you're supposed to be somewhere at 3, you should not be there at 3. You should be there at least 15 minutes prior. That's you being on time. 30 minutes prior, that's you being, early. Yeah. So if you are there on time, you're late. So make time allowances. So what I do, I still do it till now, and I've been living in Japan for like 6 months now, but I still do it is if I have to go anywhere that's gonna take me, if I have to take the train and it's gonna take me about an hour or more, I make an allowance of an extra hour to make sure I get there within time, just in case I miss my train, just in case I did not read the signs properly, just in case I get on the wrong train. Because let's be honest, no matter how long you live in this country, you will make those mistakes multiple times, and it is fine, it's okay. Another way I survive living in Japan is using good old Google Translate. You do not know how much that will save you from a lot of things. Download that app, boo. Google Translate, Google Maps, they will help you, right? They will help you. It will sometimes it's not a perfect translation, and that is okay. It will just give you an idea for you to, do or say or go where you want to. And that is fine. So get yourself Google Translate and download the language you want. And since we're talking about Japan, download Japanese so that even if your data is not on or you're not connected to Wi-Fi, you can still be able to use the app. It's basically like an offline version of the app. Another way for me to survive in living in Japan without speaking Japanese is going to the tourist information booth. So depending on the train station you are at, I know for Shinjuku there's one in Shinjuku and there's definitely one in Tokyo Station. I do not know about other train stations like smaller train stations. So, but I do know for those ones, there is a tourist information booth and there's someone who speaks English in that place. So they will, if you need any help, you need directions, try and look for that place. Try and look for that place. Or again, just go on your Google Translate and type in how can I get to the tourist information booth? Show it to one of the strangers walking around. They should be able to direct you to the place. Walk down there, have them direct you to where you need to be. Use the tourist information boards. Next point is to ask for directions from strangers. Okay, this can get complicated. They get very, very flustered trying to speak English. But one thing about them though is that they are extremely kind and they are very, very considerate. So even if they do not know how to communicate with you in your language, they will try and figure it out. But the problem is getting to that point. So, this is my tip. When you have to ask someone for directions, and of course, you do not speak any Japanese, this is why I say learn certain phrases at first. Learn certain phrases. So, sumimasen is excuse me, right? So, if you're walking up to someone and you're like, sumimasen, it gives them this idea in their head that, maybe this person speaks Japanese. Maybe they are genuinely just lost. that's the only problem they have right now, is that they are lost, and not that they cannot speak the language and they are also lost. Because if you cannot speak the language, they get shy and they're like, oh my God, I can't speak English. I don't know how to communicate with you. So usually, if you walk up to a Japanese person and be like, oh, excuse me, they'll be like, and they will literally hurry off. They'll be like, I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk, and then they'll run away. So what I do is I say, sumimasen, try to get your Japanese accent a little bit better, right? Mine is awful, but it gets the job done. And I'm like, sumimasen, and I act. It's the way I walk up to them with confidence, as though as I can actually communicate with them and be like, I'm lost. Could you help me with something? So they are more, inclined to give me a listening ear, because they're like, oh, this person speaks Japanese. It's okay. We can work from with that. And then you walk up to them, and why you say, sumimasen, like, again, learning certain phrases. If you're looking for direction, you can easily be like, oh, da 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 da, doko desu ka, stuff like that. And even if you do not know how to pronounce it, type it out and show them your phone and be like, this, use your body language, boo. It's fine. They will be able to figure it out. Japanese people are very nice. That's for me, that was one of the culture shock I experienced. How people would literally go out of their way to help you on multiple occasions. Multiple occasions, I've had people, I've been lost and I needed to get somewhere. And I'll be like, hey, I need to go somewhere. And they'll give me the directions, right? They'll tell me, oh, go left, go right, go that. But then at first I didn't know what left, right was in Japanese and stuff like that. And that floored me. And they're giving me the instructions, and the light has gone out of my eyes. I'm just looking at them like, I ain't getting it. Like, they could tell that it's going through this ear and falling out the other. So they're like, okay, it's fine. And they would literally go with me. They'll be like, oh, it's not that far. Let me take you there. And every time this has happened, yeah, every time this has happened to me, this person is going the complete opposite direction. So they did not have to help me. It's just the way they were raised. They're like, you need help? Okay, you can't seem to find your way around so and so place. I'll get you there. They would literally walk me to the place and then be like, this is where you need to go. Bye. And then go back to where they're going to, or where they were headed to. It was like a huge culture shock for me. So yeah, Japanese people are very, very nice. If you approach them properly, you do not scare them, because they can get skittish when, or squeamish when they realize that you do not speak any Japanese, because they do not speak English. Okay? And I just realized I'm saying that in a very general term. A lot of people speak English here. So don't come for me. A lot of people do speak English here. My next point is that I make use of my company's resources. So usually, if you're coming to Japan to work, you would have someone in your HR department who should be able to speak English. And if that person, there's no one in HR will know someone in the entire company who speaks English. There should be somebody, I can assure you. So make use of those resources. For my company personally, my HR handler speaks really good English, my coordinator speaks English, a lot of people speak English around me. So if I needed help in setting, like for translating stuff, and obviously they speak Japanese as well, they would be a great help. If I had to go to the city hall and I needed certain information, I call my coordinator first and be like, hey, I want to do this. Do you know how I can go about it? They'll be like, yes. There are multiple times my company would send me translations of certain things I needed to say in an email, and be like, oh, just show them this. They should be able to help you with that. Like, make use of those sort of resources if you're coming here for work. And finally, for my last point, it will be that you should not be scared to make mistakes. It is perfectly okay. I feel there's something my friends and I call the gaijin pass, which is basically that Japanese people will let a lot of things slide because you are a foreigner. They'll be like, they're new here, they don't know how it's supposed to go. So it's fine. If you make mistakes, people are not gonna crucify you. If you say the wrong thing, they might look at you weird though. They'll be like, what do you mean? They might look at you weird though, but they will not, they will not be, oh my God, you made a mistake. It is fine. Make mistakes. That's how you learn. And that brings me to the end of my video today. I hope this gives you some idea on how you can start your life here in Japan and not be scared just because you did not speak the language. Do I advise that you learn the language? Yes, please do. But it's also perfectly okay if you do not know any. Like, you will survive, you will, get around. But yeah, I hope it gives you the idea not to be scared, to actually give it a chance. Okay? Thank you for listening. If you've gotten to this point of the video, thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.